welcome to the show, Mayor. Lovely to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. It's a real privilege for me to be here.
You know, now sitting here talking to you, all the Vancouver 2010 memories coming back. I mean, given that we only have just a little bit over a month away to the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games. So what kind of message you would like to send out to the athletes and to the hosting country?
Well, to the athletes going from Canada, I just wish them all the great success. I know that in 2010 we had a wonderful time and they really performed at the very, very top level, which is what they had to do. And I hope that they can achieve that kind of success once again at the Beijing Olympic Games.
Yeah, can you maybe recap a little bit the glorious moment, given that Richmond was the venue city, and you have been the mayor ever since 2010. Those glorious moments you would like to share with us.
Well, we're in the Richmond Olympic Oval, and of course there were about 10 different races that were conducted here over a number of days during the games, and so we had 10. Gold and silver and bronze medals that were awarded here after some really terrific competitions. And I can think to other Olympic sports and venues, and it was always that way. These great athletes performing at the very top level of their abilities and their endurance.
And we have seen many athletes, they're actually practicing here, including athletes coming all the way from China, right? And I mean, based on your experience, at this time, COC was saying like we probably will be sending roughly 225 athletes over to compete in Beijing. And what are the disciplines or sports you believe Team Canada or Team China athletes will be compete the best?
From past experience, the Team China is going to have very, very well established and high-level athletes. I don't know exactly what sports will be the most competitive. I know for Canada, we, in the summer we look to the sprints, and in the Winter Games we look to the hockey. But there, in fact, are dozens of different sports here. And right here in this Olympic Oval, of course, the Chinese perform very, very well. It'll be something for everyone from every country to look forward to.
Yeah, what kind of sports was going on back in 2010 when you talk about the Chinese athletes actually perform very well in this particular venue?
Well, in this particular venue in 2010, it was the various kinds of long track speed skating. And within that discipline, you have a number of different performances. So you'll have, the sprints for short distances, you'll have the long distances, and you'll also have the team sports where you have a number of different team members who all have to contribute at the same time to have that high level of performance. So it's very exciting.
And lately, I mean, unfortunately, we did hear some, a little bit more, some kind of different noise, not particularly in terms of sports. So, I mean, when we talk about Beijing 2022 Winter Games, so can you share your take on this particular,
I just hope that the politics of the situation don't get in the way of the athletic performances. My hope is that we celebrate the athletes that we send to the games and other countries send to the games, because I know when the Olympics are successful, they have so many different athletes in different disciplines and they're all performing so well. And my hope is that the Canadian team performs really well. Once again, as they have been doing in the past. We'll have time for our differences on the political venues, but I hope that doesn't get in the way of a very successful Olympic Games.
Now we heard recently City of Vancouver and City of Whistler have just signed a MOU with the First Nations, and they were looking at sending a bid for the 2030 Winter Olympic Games. So were you part of this conversation, or were you looking forward to Vancouver once again hosting the Winter Olympic Games?
We are a very small part to this point of the discussion surrounding 2030. I know that when they had their press conference, the four First Nations and Vancouver Whistler, they talked about using venues over again. So obviously this venue, the Richmond Olympic Oval, being the home of long track speed skating in 2010, is going to be an active participant in those discussions. How it comes out, whether we're involved, how we're involved, those are all issues that are yet to be determined.
And now we know everybody, we have to follow these strict rules because due to the pandemic, and we might not be able to host a big, a large gathering when the Beijing 2022 Winter Games start. So any particular other activities you might be recommending or encouraging people to join, even though we might have to stay in Canada, but cheering for the athletes.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different public venues that will feature the athletes from the Beijing Games. At this point, because of COVID and the other restrictions, and it's likely going to get more restricted rather than less restricted, we haven't really planned anything at this point. That can change. Historically, what we've done is we've had the public venues where people can go and watch it on television, whether it's in some of the sports venues or whether it's outside at the big screens. So all this is yet to be determined. We'll just see. But right now we've got to focus on the athletes and make sure that they get there, get to Beijing, get there safely, and that they are well enough oriented so that they can really perform at the top of their game, whatever that should be.
Yeah, so maybe name one or two your favorite.
My favorite
in terms of, yes, sports, all that.
Well, of course, hockey is
Yes.
going to be a big one. And because we have the long track speed skating here, we found that we had a lot of homegrown athletes who were involved deeply in that sport, and we've come to appreciate it. You also have the short track speed skating, which sounds similar, but it's not that much the same. And of course, curling is also going to be a very popular event as well.
And we have actually a growing population in terms of people with Chinese descendants living in Richmond.
Right.
So by having such a glorious, sports event, what do you believe actually benefits the city and trying to promote, a multicultural inclusion?
Well, I think your question kind of sets the tone for it. I think that there's so many different sports where certain countries, they're not very good at those sports. And through participation and being involved in the international tournaments, every year they get better and better and better. So whereas Canada, for instance, the women, I saw the women compete in the 2006 games, and it was very clear that Canada had a far superior team than anyone else, and they did win the gold medal. But other teams have now come up. We've seen curling. Curling, Canada has always been a strong competitor in that game. And take the Chinese. They were never strong in that, didn't really know much about it, and over the years, they have come up so that they are really competing at that top level. Over the years, our curling club here in Richmond has sometimes hosted the women's Chinese curlers as they're getting ready for various world competitions. So you're right. The essence of sports these days is very international in focus, and you have strong teams from all over the world competing at this very, very high level.
We know that next year the new election is coming, so any particular project you'll probably be aiming at in terms of promoting, more cooperation between Canada, China, the two countries, or the athletes?
Yes, as you say, there is an election coming up. I don't know that there's any initiative, particularly at the entire city level, but certainly at the individual level, there's the various trade associations, business groups, arts and cultural opportunities. We have a sister city advisory committee which is active in promoting educational and cultural and business opportunities between the city of Richmond and China. We have a Chinese sister city in Xiamen and a friendship city in Qingdao in China. So there are a number of different opportunities on the international sense that will promote the city of Richmond, promote British Columbia, Canada, and China, and better international affairs.
Any other message you would like to share with us now, especially for the coming up Beijing 2022?
Well, I just want to reiterate that we have a great set of athletes going to the Beijing Games. And I know that they will be top performers. They're not going to let the politics or the COVID get in their way. They'll make sure that they perform at a very high level, and we will be very proud of what they do. Just remember that feeling when we won the first gold medal back in 2010. It was a snowboarder on the North Shore, and it was a terrific feeling. So that's the kind of feeling we're looking to regenerate in Beijing in 2022.